market.
Okay.
And they were like, Fubu is now the like #1 country in the world because they decided to make a merger with KFC.
Fubu's not a country. What company? You mean?
No, it is. Yeah. Oh, did I say country? You did. Oh, yeah. Fubu became the #1.
Is that dude? Is that guy from? That's not. Wait, they merged with who?
KFC.
Why?
It was a Dave Chappelle skit. What if black people got reparations?
Honestly. Yeah.
Cadillac stock surged.
Oh,
you haven't seen that one?
It's
that black kid from Shark Tank.
He goes in whiteface. He's a news reporter. He's going to slurs on camera. I feel like a lot of people with very racy opinions look to Dave Chappelle for justification.
Oh, yeah.
In reality, that's not the point, right? That's not what he's doing. But that's funny comedy.
Yeah, it's to justify your shitty behaviors.
Yes.
That's why everyone loves Louis C.K. and Joe Rogan.
Louis C.K. is funny. Why people like it.
Joe Rogan is not a comedian. He is and will always be a Fear Factor host.
I'm gonna get a cookout. Do you guys want anything?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, I got food before we came here.
All right.
If you have a need to pick up a shake of any kind, I will take it. But
Strawberry.
I'm not going to request
Strawberry mixed with Butterfinger.
Oh.
Strawberry Butterfinger.
Strawberry. Yeah.
Yep.
Strawberry.
Does that sound good?
And finger.
That sound good?
Strawberry and finger.
I might get the same thing. I've never had that.
You can mix flavors?
Dude, one time I mixed like pineapple and like eggnog or something and gave it to like Kenneth.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
It was awful.
What was gross? Here we go.
Maybe it wasn't pineapple.
Down.
I have a lighter. Evan, you got a lighter on you?
No. You have matches, right?
Yeah, I should.
Are you okay if I jump in like late? I'm getting cooked.
Yeah, dude, just come back whenever you're good.
Okay.
Alright. Actually, hey, could you toss me a... No, I got one. Alright.
The incense to stimulate conversation.
Yes.
Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Doghouse. I'm Austin Carlson. I'm joined today by
John Nemo!
and
Taylor Ward.
And we're out here talking about all sorts of stuff, all sorts of music and cool stuff. So,
Yeah, I mean, just fuck my band, right?
fuck your band.
That's not what we're talking about today.
Okay, that is you know, funny little guy here. You know, he's definitely correct. We are here to talk about the band. So, Nemo, why don't you fill the people in on your band, what they're about, their name, all that.
Yeah. So we're only two of the members, probably the two least important members of Watch for Pedestrians.
I wouldn't say that.
We're a post-hardcore-ish, emo-ish outfit from Farmville and Roanoke, Virginia. We take quite a bit of influence from a couple groups. You know, the Touche Amores, the title fights of the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit of post-punk in there sometimes, depending on my mood.
What does Watch for Pedestrians mean?
So, it's actually a really funny story. Actually, I don't think it is.
It's not.
It's not. I think that's just like the stock opener to an interview conversation, though.
Yeah.
So I thought I should go with it. You know?
Yeah.
So me and Connor, our instrumentalist, he writes all the tracks that I sing over. He and I were in the car together, racking our brains on what to change our names from. We are the band formerly named Backspasm.
Backspasm, which has played the Doghouse.
We have multiple times, and we were just trying to decide what we were gonna we're gonna rename the band because we weren't really feeling it, and we stopped at a stoplight, and right beside us was this real big sign that said "Watch for Pedestrians," and Connor just looked at me and he said, "What about Watch for Pedestrians?" And I was like, you know what, fuck it. And then I was talking to someone a couple weeks later, and I was just like, yeah, our band name's Watch for Pedestrians. They told me that it was like super cool because it could either be the stupid story that we said, or you could like try to draw some sort of meaning out of it. I was like, you know what, that's fine. We'll keep that.
No, it's hip. It works. You know?
And also, it's just like almost every idea that Connor has, I say yes to because he's just got such good ideas, right?
Spineless.
I'm not spineless. I think he has really good ideas. You know?
He does.
Yeah. He's had a way more successful bands than I have, so I like to, key in on his wisdom.
No, Connor's a smart guy. I definitely agree with you there.
Absolutely. And he's like...
Wouldn't take a genius to pick up on that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and then it was initially the baby of me and Connor, and then we decided, it's like, we need a couple more people to play with us, and so I thought to myself, what's the dream team that I could create, right?
Yeah.
And I'd always wanted to be in a band with our drummer Roman.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the best drummer I've ever met.
Couldn't make it out here today.
Couldn't.
Oh, bad luck.
Yeah. And then
to top it off,
and then
the maraschino cherry. So let's get a guy who's been playing guitar for a year.
okay, well that's really interesting because me and Connor had already had conversations about you, right? And we had already decided whatever project we were gonna do next, we were gonna include you on because Taylor here, and I'm gonna stroke him off a little bit right here.
Yeah, let's see it.
Is like the most intense learner I've ever met on an instrument, right? Because like if I tell him to learn something, I trust that Taylor's gonna go in and put in the fucking work to make sure that he learns it, right?
Yeah.
And I can't trust very many people like that
No, of course.
out in the music world because as anyone who's tried to lead a band knows, it's so hard to get people to actually practice outside of a practice setting.
Yeah.
Right, but I always trust that Taylor will do it, and he learns really fast, and he always listens, right? And that's just like so valuable that I couldn't not grab him, and he's been amazing.
It's a
For your band.
It's a pretty important combo, I think, when you're like making music with anybody who's having reliability and consistency. You know, so it's good to see you found that in the people in your group.
Absolutely, right, and even if Roman doesn't show up to all the practices, he's like the best drummer I know, so I'm always confident that he'll have it down. The only reason that we need him there is because we need to have it down with him, right?
If he forgets something, he'll just make it up, and then it just sounds so good. It's just insane. It's insane, honestly.
So you were talking a little bit about like your sonic inspirations.
Yeah.
For your tracks. Yeah. So what do you think right now? For what you're trying to put out with Watch for Pedestrians, what would you say is the sound you're trying to capture?
Okay, so we're working on a new album right now.
Yeah.
Right? Tentatively titled either Wormwood or Penance. I don't really know yet.
Wormwood? One
Spelled
word?
spelled with a Y.
Yeah.
And worm.
Yeah.
Like for the O?
WYRM Wood.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a reference to Revelation.
Oh yeah, and then
Yeah.
the other one is what?
Penance.
Penance.
Yeah.
Any Y's in there?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, so the first thing that really like keyed me into trying to get this album together was just listening to some Touche Amore, and they just had an album released in 2020 that I think kind of really blew me away. And I've been really impressed with what I've been seeing out of this like post-hardcore emo scene lately.
Yeah.
And also what's been coming out in this new like indie emo wave. I don't know if you've been keying into it, but there's a couple bands like Teenage Halloween that have been putting out this like indie emo stuff where it's like the indie sound but like really emo lyrics.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of all the pop punk I used to listen to in high school. So
Yeah.
and then also I always take inspiration and you're gonna love this. You're gonna eat this up from Title Fight because
Of course.
Because right, like I heard Shed and just my mind was blown, and then I heard Head in the Ceiling Fan, And I was kind of struck with how they mixed shoegaze and emo together.
Yeah, it's definitely a really interesting combination, especially in Head in the Ceiling fan.
Yeah, and so we've actually tried to kind of mix that in.
Yeah.
We have this song that we're working on right now. It's called Artifice. And
What's it about?
I tell the story of the Jewish folklore of the golem.
No, I don't.
Okay, well there's in like mystic traditions of Judaism.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like sigil writing that goes hand in hand kind of with like sort of Nordic religion, right? Where you like the sigils that you carve,
Yeah.
the linguistics kind of do things magically,
Yeah.
right?
Power.
And so
They have-
yeah.
there's power in linguistics, and I really enjoy that. And there's one story specifically that this rabbi creates a man out of clay, and then he puts this scroll with all of these sigils on it in his mouth and lights it on fire, and it comes alive. But per the ritual, you're supposed to remove the scroll from the golem's mouth so you can control it.
Yeah.
On the day of Sabbath, so
Yes,
it can also have
yes.
rest. Yeah.
And he doesn't, or he forgets to take out the scroll, right? And so this golem, he can't sleep, and he's just like uncontrollable, right? Because this rabbi didn't take the scroll out of his mouth, and that's kind of what I draw from in the song.
Yeah.
And it's,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, and so I'm telling this story throughout the song, and the chorus of it is like really shoegazy.
Yeah, okay.
Connor wrote this like really cool lead riff where it's like tremoloed, but it's got like 8 different effects on it that make it sound really spacey and noisy.
Well, yeah, the thing is, you're talking about it, and like you're using words like tremolo. So it's obvious to me that you have a foundational background in music theory.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I would assume benefits you in your work, but as somebody who's not particularly learned about those sorts of things, I have to ask, what does tremolo mean?
So I'll let Taylor explain this because he's a guitar player.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, so tremolo, I think most people would know it in reference to like guitar playing, right? The whammy bar on the guitar is the tremolo arm,
Okay.
right? So it creates this kind of this fluctuation in the notes where the pitch goes up and down. However, with tremolo picking, you just pick one string really, really fast back and forth, and so it creates kind of this constant noise coming from the string.
A really good example of tremolo picking would be Misraloo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
it's-
I like that song.
It's
yeah.
one note, but it's being picked continuously.
Yeah, and so it gets that sound like in Miserloo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how'd that impact the sound of your song that you incorporated that in?
It's actually really cool because I wish I had the track to play it here now, but it's not finished yet.
That sucks.
It's a sound wall, I'd say, definitely.
Yeah, that's one part of it, right? And there's kind of a dichotomy in it where it sounds like the rest of our stuff with the first half,
Mhm.
right? Where it's got that like the emo with the indie influence on it, right there at the beginning, and then everything starts to build up right at the pre-chorus, and you can actually see it on the track.
Yeah.
That everything goes just kind of like this, and then it funnels right before the chorus starts, and then it's just this like sound wall. And right on there, I'm trying out something new with the vocals that I haven't really done in any of our songs yet, and using these like really raspy black metal vocals
Yeah. Okay.
on because I tried screaming the entire time, and my throat just can't handle it right now.
So when you do your screaming, is it from like your diaphragm, or is it like a throat sort of deal, or?
Yeah, so most of what I do 2 types of vocals in our songs.
Because there's a very distinctive sound when you're singing on a
Yeah.
track, man. It's like I hear it, I'm like, that's Nemo.
Yeah,
you know?
right. So there's two different types of vocals that I do. One of them is like really bad for you.
Yeah.
Right? And if I keep singing like that, I'll probably lose my voice completely by the time I'm 40.
Yeah, that's it. Small price
And that's-
to pay for fame
right.
and glory, you know.
And that is actually screaming,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I scream and just push my vocal cords as hard as I can up through here, right?
Yeah.
And project that screaming voice out through my diaphragm, right? And that's when, if you've ever heard our cover of the dictionary, which I know you have,
I have
right?
played it at our show, man.
The spitting nails in your coffin door line, where I get really, really high up there, that's what I'm doing.
That one, yeah, that goes hard though. You know, it
Absolutely.
carries that energy.
And that's still, the recording of that we have on the cassette
Yeah.
for Doghouse is probably my favorite scream I've ever done, period. Not even just recording. I think that's the most perfect scream I've ever got.
Could you give me like a growl like you do, like with the diaphragm
for us,
stuff?
John.
Are you talking about the scream or the
Let's
diaphragm?
do whatever you
The
want
growl?
on camera here. Let's get
Scream
some
for us,
interaction.
Yeah. You know, we have a dictionary, which is a cover by our wonderful friend Astrid, right? And
Camera's on you now.
1 second
He's
here.
getting a call.
I'm gonna have to hang up with my grandmother here for a second.
Oh, sorry,
about-
Grandma. You can take that. We can pause this for a minute if you want.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I'll play the track for a second so I can.
No, do a scream. Come on, I got.
Just do it. Okay.
Yeah, just do it. Let's hear it.
So, there's a part right at the end of the song where it's goes, you know, I can rehabilitate myself, but baby, I just hate myself enough to give up and set myself free. Right? And then right after that, it goes into the kind of breakdown right there at the end.
Yeah.
And that scream is like really bad for me. But
Yeah.
the first one, you know, the I can rehabilitate myself is actually I trained with the vocal professor here at Hampton Sydney. Her name's Dr. Von Ruden.
Dr. Von Ruden. She's
Where
fun, yeah.
she's great, and she taught me how to scream or to I guess rasp up my voice with the fry chords in your vocal cords. So
the fry chord.
yeah, it's called fry screams.
This is like a foreign language. To
Yeah.
me, man.
Well,
This is-
I'll go through it for a second and explain it to you, right? So there are your vocal cords are just really a set of flaps in your throat that make different sounds based on how they vibrate, right?
Okay.
And you can push air through them so hard that they start touching each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the only ones that can do that are the fry chords at the top. They don't typically operate when you're singing or talking.
Yeah.
They control whether or not there's air going through your throat or not, I believe. Don't act like I'm some sort of like authority on the topic, right? Because I'm not. But I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Of course.
What I do know is that they don't vibrate often.
Okay.
But when you can get them to vibrate, it's not pushing hard. It's just a certain way you open your throat up, kind of like this,
Yeah.
right? And then when I sing through it and
Yeah.
kind of compress the bottom of my vocal cords up, it starts to get them to vibrate.
Can you feel all these compressions and vibrations like as you're singing?
Yes, but I didn't really know what to peg them as
Yeah.
until I started learning about it.
Yeah, and then
Right.
you're like, whoa, that's what that is. Right?
Yeah, and now I can control it a lot better now that I know what's happening.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. You know, you wouldn't even think like your voice is an instrument. You know,
It is.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like extreme music in general, is because that they use the voice as an instrument more than they do as an avenue to like deliver lyrics,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit more allure to me because I'm an instrumentalist before I'm a vocalist.
Yeah.
To something like that in which it takes a sort of playing skill to use my vocals.
That's pretty hip.
Yeah.
Hey, well, to move on from that wonderful topic that I've now learned and grown as a reflection of hearing about, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Got a question for this man over here. Taylor, as a scholar of music, you know, I think it appropriate to ask you to give the people your top 3 albums right now.
Top 3 albums.
Hey, it doesn't. I mean,
Lord.
there's no wrong answers here, man. You know?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because there are impactful albums that might not necessarily be albums that I would listen to now.
Yeah.
Right, that were fundamental and good in me to where I am.
It like shift you in your understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as questionable as it is, I would definitely have to say, I'd have to say, Son of a Sailor, Jimmy Buffett is definitely in there.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Because before, when I was, listening to music, it was kind of whatever was on the radio or what have you. And then I found some of my mom's old copies of Jimmy Buffett. Thank you. And that was kind of my first deep dive into an artist. And that was one of the first big artists I really got into. So I definitely put Jimmy Buffett up there. Good Lord. I'd have to say, the Oracular Spectacular by MGMT.
Okay.
It's one of the first indie groups I really got into, kind of informed my direction. And maybe not MGMT's best album, but it's the one that has had the most impact on me.
Yeah.
Was that the one? Which one was that they?
That was Time to Pretend and Electric Feel.
That's a good one.
Kids,
Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
I like the one with Congratulations.
Okay, yeah.
That was actually my favorite one.
Yeah, really? That's
It's a good album, and I love that album. But
It's less poppy though.
It is. It certainly is.
I'm gonna take a minute. We're saying, introduce Evan Barkin in the studio. Oh man, we didn't get a chance to shout him out here, but he's here. He's eating some cookout. Back to Tim.
Oh hey, I got you I mixed together strawberry and Butterfinger.
All right.
Milkshake. I got a spoon. You want a spoon and
Yeah.
straw? Okay. Here you go,
Thank you,
Strawberry
Evan.
and Butterfinger.
See how it is.
I'm curious.
Strawberry and Butterfinger. Okay, so that's 2 albums. Let's hear the last one.
That's two.
Let's hear
Oh
the
my
last
gosh.
one.
I'm gonna be completely honest. When I listen to an artist, I never really pick an album and listen to it.
Really?
Yeah, and when I do, I can't remember it. But I'd have to say, and John's gonna hate me for this, Lonerisms.
Tame Impala.
Tame
Yeah.
Impala.
Wow.
Tame
This is my
Impala.
guitar player, people. This is
Nothing
what I'm
wrong.
Yeah,
working
and
with.
I liked Tame Impala before they were cool. I'm just kidding.
What, in
No, but
2008?
seriously. Seriously though, Tame Impala was he was the Mr. Impala himself, Kevin Parker. Honestly, like he got me fascinated with just like being an instrumentalist and being the only person in your design. Like you don't need to hinge your creativity on other people, right? You can do it all yourself if you have the passion. I mean, he gave up. He was on the way to taking his final test and becoming an astronomer.
Wow.
Right? That was going to be his life, and then he got a call
Wow.
from a record label, and he just dropped it. And just, I don't know, something about it.
It's like the same thing. The last album was produced and like every instrumental part was done by him, right? That's like the same thing with Prince, And like
Yeah.
when you get an artist who gets in there with like one specific vision that they're have total creative ownership of, I think you get a really cool thing. And I mean, for me, like the sound is a little hard to get into, but I definitely respect it. Yeah, Tame Impala, Jimmy Buffett, and MGMT.
I
Respectable
swear.
choices.
It doesn't, I mean, those albums don't really represent the breadth of music that I listen to, or really anything that I listen to now or have listened to in several years, but I definitely say those are kind of the most influential, impactful albums that I've ever listened to.
Hell yeah, and you heard it here first on the Doghouse. John Nemo, top 3 albums. Let's go.
Top 3 albums.
Top 3 albums.
So I have to split them up in 2
Okay.
because I can't like settle with myself like Taylor can on the most influential albums of all of my music right now, and then like probably what I think are objectively the best.
There's a
Right.
separation.
There is.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So for the best albums of all time, I think that number 3 has to be my favorite punk album, which is the Bad Brains self-titled record. Just so many great fucking songs on that album, right? And they switched from reggae into hardcore all the time, right? You have like Leaving Babylon, which is a really slow reggae song, and then right before that you have We've Got Attitude, and then Sailing On before that.
Sailing On's a good song.
Which is,
Toots
yeah,
and
right?
Maytals cover, I think. Who knows?
And so just that record just like is the starting point to extreme music for me.
Yeah.
It was this sort of flashpoint as I listened to the Bad Brains and my mind just erupted.
They out of DC.
Yeah, they were.
Oh yeah.
And then
They had a crazy scene.
they
DC back
did.
then. Yeah.
They did, but they also discouraged violent moshing at their shows, which was really
Really?
cool because it was a pretty big contrast to the like Black Flag and Minor Threat shows that were happening at the time. They were getting like
Yeah.
ridiculously violent. And it was funny that they were the ones that ended up getting banned from DC.
That's wild.
And from DC.
You think that's why Henry Rollins moved to San Francisco or whatever?
I don't know. I can't speak on that really because
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, I've never heard that. That's cool.
But yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Number 2.
Number 2 on the best albums of all time, just because I'm an emo head, right, is gotta be An Alpha Beta Polythology
Yeah.
by Captain
Jazz.
Jazz. Right. And if that's a cop out, I'll say Schmapp and Schmaz by Captain Jazz.
Captain Jazz. That's a good one.
Because-
Burritos and more. I can't go.
Because you've got like Bluegrass-ish and Basil's Kite, which are like 2 incredible songs.
So good. So good.
And then their cover of Winter Wonderland is just hilarious. I make my entire family listen to it every Christmas as much as they hate it.
Ha ha ha.
And
you get the cover of Take On Me, man. That's
the cover of Take On Me is super good. And then there's the classics of Little League and Oh Messy Life that are just like ridiculously impactful songs
of
too.
course, of course. It's the lyrical complexity, I think, that carries them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if we want to talk about lyrical complexity, the number 1 best album of all time for me is probably Slint.
Spiderland?
Spiderland.
Fucking
Yeah.
A.
Right?
Fucking A.
That's probably my top 10.
Yeah, right? Because I look at a song like Don Amon on that record, and it's just like such a spine-chilling instrumentation combined with... Yeah, like Breadcrumb Trail has that like super good hit in it, and then Don Amon has this like story of an
He's
alcoholic...
Don
Huh?
He is Donna Man.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Right?
Same thing.
Yeah, and it's got this like story of a dude who's got alcoholism and he's just walking outside, and it like erupts there about halfway through with this like really crazy, in-depth breakdown there, and the kids that made it were like 18 when they wrote that album, and
Yeah.
it baffles me that they had like very little musical experience but wrote one of the most like intense, like one of the most theory intense albums I've ever listened to, right? Even though they had very little experience in like classical theory and whatnot.
And composition and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still went through and made a really good one. It sort of stands as a testament to the fact that like vision and the like purity of your message sort of will trump like actual form and
Yeah, right? And also the fact that it's like the only album I can think of that I can't peg in a genre. Right? That's just something I like to do in my free time, right? Is I love just studying genres and whatnot. And that's one that I can't peg.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't tell if it's post-rock or post-hardcore.
It's way too unique.
Yeah, right? And I really respect that they did that at such a young age, and then that they just kind of broke up after that. Like they made one more record and they just went their separate ways, and they're all fine with each other.
Yeah, got it done.
It's just they decided it was done.
Did you see their documentary they had?
Yeah, I
Called
did. It
Breadcrumb Trail?
was really good.
Yeah. That was a good one.
But yeah, I don't know. I could talk about Spider-Man for years.
Yeah.
So
They're
good.
fucking, like, their parents, whoever is the singer's parents' house, like, is where they practice in the basement, they keep getting, like, letters, like, at his parents' house, because they put, like, their address on, like a copy of the record.
Yeah.
They keep getting, like, letters, like, thank you letters and shit.
Yeah,
It's so funny.
it's so cool, right? So now for the personal favorites.
Personal
Mine.
favorites. Let's hear it. Top 3.
Number 3 is Journey to the End of East Bay. Or I'm sorry, And Out Come the Wolves by Rancid.
Fucking excellent album.
Right? It's
Fucking
probably the best skate punk record ever made.
Yeah. Mike Shoup, my junior year English teacher at Blue Mountain High School, put me on to that. He was like, all that stuff you just said just then didn't get picked up, but we're back.
About the body and...
Wait, before you start recording again, what were you guys talking about before?
We're recording again.
Okay. What
Sorry.
were you guys talking about before I showed up?
Just a bunch of different stuff. But, so
Dumb
I'm just
shit.
going to start from...
Just a bunch of different.
Whatever, man.
we'll talk about it.
I'll just
We'll talk about
go
it
with the flow. It doesn't
after. Yeah. Right, so, do you want me to just start with the body album?
What do you want to talk about?
I'll just say, yeah. So number 2 is Ascending the Mountain of Heavy Light by The Body and Full Lapel. It's a collaboration album. It's like a droney industrial metal band and pretty hardcore focused crust punk band that went together and just made this really, really intense industrial metal record. They've got some like really meaty drones that feel reminiscent of like Merzbow, while they have screams that I don't think I've ever heard something like it before. It's like really throaty, but it's a scream, and it feels like if a black metal band found out how to do vocals right, which is, I don't know, I love that, right?
Yeah.
And it did what I always wanted Death Grips to do, and that was to shock me while I listened to something. Like, my problem with Death Grips,
Dead boys.
as much as I love them, because I do.
Do you stay annoyed? Do you stay annoyed?
I'm assuming that's a reference I'm not getting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you must do dude, don't worry.
I just listen to them. I don't really get
Okay, yeah.
the internet. And,
Gotcha.
But I feel like they're just kind of chaotic electronica. But what the body does is it gives a kind of like bone chilling experience when you listen to it. It's very atmospheric and kind of crusty in a way that I can't really find any other albums.
Is there like an ambient quality to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
But it's a really violent ambience.
That's
It seems like an
My mind
oxymoron.
state.
It does, but if you listen to the album, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
all right. Number
And
one.
then number
let's hear
one
it.
right now, that's probably had the most impact on my music as a whole, is Lament by Touche Amore.
Lament.
It came out in 2020, which was not something I expected. But like I didn't really think that I was gonna be listening to an album that came out in 2020 every day, but I do.
Damn.
Right. The opening track on the record, "Come Heroin," is just like ridiculously intense.
Is rock music?
It's emo. It's like
Emo.
post-hardcore emo. It's basically the
Yeah.
same wave that we're trying to ride.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I feel like guitar music has fell off like hard, especially this year and last year.
Yeah.
But it's just not been much,
At least on the pop
in my
charts.
opinion.
On the pop charts, definitely. Right.
Yeah,
Certainly.
But the emo scene's still been bustling,
yeah.
and there's been a lot of great stuff that's come out. Like that band I was mentioning earlier, Teenage Halloween, put one out, I think at the beginning of 2020, maybe 2019.
I listened to them. You showed me them.
Yeah, Teenage Halloween's pretty
Yeah.
good. And then Touche Amore came out with something. I think Title Fight's working on something right now.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, that would be fucking great.
Yeah, right.
They've been on an album since like 2015, right?
I think so, but but don't take my word for it. But
Yeah.
that's the echoes I've heard on the internet a couple
Yeah,
of
yeah.
times.
The word on the street, as it were.
Yeah, right.
There's a-
But Touche Amore just kind of like blew me away. I didn't even know about them until this summer, and I heard their first record, which I can't ever remember the name of, but it's really good. It's kind of emo violence
Yeah.
type stuff, right? And then they evolved into a sound that they wanted to be a little bit more radio friendly, which kind of led them to this like post-hardcore sound that we're trying to capture as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, my yelly kind of vocal style is very, very influenced by Touche Amore, and and I just can't. I can gush all day about how much they've influenced my music because I think they're brilliant, as well as their like writing style is just so good.
Yeah.
And they did a collaboration with like Manchester Orchestra, which I never thought an emo band would do a collaboration with the Manchester Orchestra.
Yeah.
Right, but here they are.
You
And
think
it's so
I
good.
hear that post-hardcore influence a lot in your music,
Yeah.
especially the new songs you've been putting out.
Mhm.
What was that band called? The new band you had? It was like
Watch for
walking. Yeah, Watch for
Pedestrians.
Pedestrians.
Yeah, that's what we're.
Back spasm corner.
Yeah,
Backspasm is dead now. Watch for
Yeah.
Pedestrians is
Wow.
alive.
gotcha.
That's why the first song on our new album is "I'm Alive."
That's great.
That's pretty hip.
Yeah.
So you know, in the history of rock and roll, I think there's always been, you know, artists who sort of throughout their career progress to like rock star status, you know, and this has been mimicked in lots of movies and television and all sorts of stuff like that. Me and Evan were even talking about how in your canon you're probably at like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 right now. And so I was wondering if you have
Are you saying that my new record is like Spider-Man 3?
Pizza time.
yeah,
That is an
excellent film.
insult.
A bastion of film.
No,
I'm-
it's a-
I watched that
That's
like
a
2
wonderful
days
movie.
ago.
Yeah,
I
we were
watched
like- yeah.
Spider-Man
It's
3.
wonderful.
Don't let anybody say anything different. Look, when Tobey Maguire comes out and he's doing all this stuff,
yeah,
you know, that's like the
Yeah.
best it gets.
it is. It really was.
He's kind of evil too.
Yeah,
That
and
was
he's like
That
sort
was the
of
peak of the Star Wars
It's
series.
pretty
I mean,
much
Spider-Man
it.
series.
pretty much it right there. So in that bidding, how do you see your rock and roll career progressing and formidably ending?
So we will probably inevitably go through like 7 more changes
Yeah,
before I finally decide on something, right?
yeah.
Even right now, I'm a part of like 4 different projects, right? Like, me, Connor, and another buddy from back home are starting something that's more on this like indie sad boy wave,
Sure.
right?
Softer.
I've been
stuff.
trying to convince Taylor over here to start some noise rock with me.
Noise rock would be sick.
I thought it was fun.
And without the screaming, actually, I just want to sing on it.
Just ambient.
Yeah, like sort of like high rise type
Oh, like a
stuff.
Jesus and Mary Chain type of thing.
Yeah, like Jesus, Mary Chain, high rise
You
type
gotta
stuff.
get, you gotta get on that like Japanese energy where it's just insane, like industrial. You know?
I don't know that I could. I don't know that I can pull it off. You know?
You don't think?
No.
Yeah.
Just learn.
You gotta really let go to do that. I think.
I don't think that letting go is the problem. I just don't know that I can do it vocally.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like the vocal style is very specific to the Japanese scene. That yeah, and I just don't have
Yeah.
I've got a very low vocal
Yeah,
range,
sure.
so I don't know that I can hit notes like that. Maybe if Taylor learns to sing one day.
So where's the end of your rock and roll career?
The end of my rock and
horrible
roll-
burnout, ODs on the sidewalk.
No,
What are we talking?
I feel like the end of my rock and roll career will be like 40s sweater wearing burnout type singer songwriter stuff, and that's where I'll settle down one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, well, you know, if anything, that sort of tells me that you're in it for the long game.
Oh, of course.
I mean, there's so many. I think about it like, will I even be playing music by the time I'm like 30? And I mean, I hope the answer is yes. But damn, 40, man, good for you.
Just,
Yeah.
Kanye's still doing it?
Kanye is still doing it.
It's like 44.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
no.
also
Even when I
instrumental
start
as well, dude.
getting into the workplace, I'll still be making music, right? I'm still gonna try
Hell yeah.
and just put shit out, see if someone likes it, and if they do, you know, we'll run with it, right?
That'd be good. I bet you you'll have been like involved in some project that just has like unanimous respect in the underground, and like yeah, and like lives on like a band like Weezer.
You know, I was really hoping you'd say something like Algernon Cadwell or something.
No,
Weezer.
No, you guys.
Because Weezer doesn't have unanimous respect in the underground.
You don't think you didn't
Oh,
like
they
that
do.
new cover of the Toto song?
No.
Yeah. No, I'm fucking with you though, Nemo. I think like I could definitely see that. I bet you you're fit for like a camper van Beethoven fix, where like you'll do something, and everybody will hear it, and then whatever the band does after, nobody will really care about, you know.
Mm.
But you'll still have had that.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, you know, that'll be
Yeah,
pretty cool.
and I'm assuming, right, because most of what I do is it's like just shotgun fishing.
Yeah.
With my music is I just put stuff together and see what works and hope that it hits.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping, you know, someone will look at it and is like, that's pretty cool.
I like that, shotgun fishing as
Yeah.
composition.
Maybe you'll shoot a fish. Good record.
What's your top 3
Yeah.
favorite albums, Austin?
My top 3 favorite albums,
Yeah, you wanna share
man.
with
It's
the
in
group?
my fucking interview, but I'll go ahead. Sure. My top 3 albums, you guys went 3 to 1, I'm going 1 to 3. My number 1 favorite album of all time is Young Mean Stranger. My number 2 favorite album of all time is Heavier Than a Death in the Family by La Réalisée des Nude, or however you pronounce that shit.
Yep.
And then I think my 3rd favorite album is sort of shifting. It's like kind of a toss-up. But, yeah, I'd probably have to go with like something safe, like Cotton Jones.
That's a good one.
Yeah, whatever the fuck the name of that one album is.
With I'm the Changer on it.
Yeah. It's called, well shit, I don't have it anymore, but I used to have it on vinyl. Yeah, that's probably like just a really safe, nice album you can put on in the middle of the day. Evan, what are your top 3 albums of all time?
Top 3?
Yeah.
It's always changing, but the ones I keep coming back to are Jerome's Dream, Seeing Means More Than Safety.
Okay, that's a really good
You know, it's
emo
emo violence, yeah. Number 2, I'd have to say The Stooges, Funhouse.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
I keep coming back to that album like all the time, and it never gets old.
Mhm.
And then probably 3 would be like Dope Throne, Electric Wizard.
Oh, that's such
That's a really good album.
That's
Yeah.
such a good
Very-
album.
Yeah, it feels kind of cliche, but it's so fucking good.
No, and you know what? I feel
So
bad
good.
because there are like so many insane albums I couldn't pick, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love giving shout outs to Nouveau Obscura every time I can because it's like the best and only female-led emo violence record that I've
Yeah.
ever listened to.
Uh-huh.
And she does the best emo violence vocals I've ever heard.
Mm.
right?
That's it.
And then, like, of course, Hidden History of the Human Race by Blood Incantation.
Oh, of course.
Because I love that record and I can't stop talking about it.
Insane choice you made.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I knew
Shout
about
out
that
Insane
record.
Johnny. Shout out Insane Johnny. We're on that Michigan shit out here. All right.
I knew about that record before I fucking
Okay.
joined the Instagram page. I already had I had it on vinyl before Austin showed it to me. But,
Yeah. We
yeah.
out here.
And then like, oh fuck, what was the last one? Oh, one record I keep coming back to that I never expect myself to come back to is Pornography by The Cure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a really
Anything about
good
it.
record.
Cure is good, yeah.
Yeah.
Disintegration is one of the greatest albums ever.
I have a really funny story about that album.
What?
So I've never actually listened to it, but I had an AP literature class with his name was Mr. Ivers,
Mhm.
and he would like always talk about The Cure as like his favorite band, and we had a class presentation, and we were making like custom like you know on like presentation slides you like have like backgrounds,
Mhm.
so we were making like custom backgrounds, and this kid Will drew the Pornography, The Cure cover like in MS Paint, like really really shitty, but you could tell it was The Cure, like Pornography, and then we were just all like looking at Mr. Ivers when it came on, and he was just like shaking his head. He was like, no.
No, I think
He's
that
just so disappointed at us.
I think that Pornography does like a really good job of setting up a bunch of different genres, right? While taking inspiration from some of my favorites as well, right? There's like significant post-punk influence on it, while also kind of, as much as Taylor would hate me saying this, like setting up some like shoegaze conventions
Yeah.
that I think the Cocteau Twins would also expand on a little bit after.
Cocteau.
Do you know what language they're speaking?
French.
Cocteau Twins?
They're French.
Yeah, they're French.
They're French?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're speaking English. Because
They- yeah,
I look up the lyrics and it's all English words.
They have some English lyrics, but they also
You
speak
can't
in
tell what the
French,
fuck they're
and they have an
saying.
accent. Yeah,
It's like
I can't tell what the-
It's, I mean, it's the best part though. I mean, you just kind of make up whatever. words
Yeah,
you want.
it's just like feels like you're drifting in between like consciousness.
Yeah, it's
But
just
listening
a
to
fever
their
dream. Listening
yeah, that's
to
what it feels like.
And
Like
then-
listening to their lyrics, it's crazy.
Then there's like one song I always come back to It's Wire Pool by Kino Tokaikoku or whatever.
Kinoko Teikoku.
Kinoko Teikoku. I can't ever remember the name of
Mushroom
that band.
Empire.
Yeah.
Mushroom Empire.
And yeah, I keep listening to that, and it always reminds me that I can do more shoegaze in my emo music.
Yeah.
Right, because I always feel like I need the reminder that I can do more. Right. But I don't know.
You watch a lot of TV.
I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah, like what?
I watch a lot of extreme horror movies, you know, like underground horror movies and normal horror movies. It's
Yeah.
probably what I watch the most of, and then also like crime dramas and whatnot. Like I watched Dog Day Afternoon the other day,
Oh, that's a good one.
which is so good.
Yeah.
Like Al Pacino's best movie.
You got a whole radio show dedicated to horror film, right?
Extreme horror, yeah. And so, even as a kid, right, I was kind of infatuated with the idea of things that made me uncomfortable.
What do you got?
Coffee.
And so I started diving into like the Saw movies and the Hostel movies.
Yeah.
And-
Hostel 1, man, that fucked me up so
Yeah,
bad.
the first one is
Seeing
definitely
like
the
people
best.
getting their fingers cut off and all that shit. I
Yeah.
can't handle that.
And so I watched Hostel when I was like 11 or 12,
Wow.
and then
You know all those sex scenes?
yeah, and then by
That's wild.
the time I was like 16 or 17, I had already seen Salo in a Serbian film a couple of times, and
Yeah.
Begotten once or twice. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's this old black and white art house film about where like God disembowels himself and the Mother Earth springs from his carcass and jacks him off and like sticks it inside of herself so she inseminates herself with
What?
God's.
Yeah.
How much drugs was
Baby
used in
batter.
making that movie?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
God's baby batter.
Would you
yeah,
say?
and then she has the Son of Man, and they get like raped and tortured by a bunch of faceless nomads, and that's the movie.
Definitely a lot of drugs.
And it's like- It's like 50 minutes long.
Dude, you just like don't understand it, man.
No, it's terrible. It's so boring.
Yeah.
But like everyone kept telling me on these forums that it was like super creepy, and so I looked it up and I was like, this is boring. And it wasn't until I watched Cannibal Holocaust that it really hit me as to like how good an extreme horror movie can get.
Cannibal
That's a good
Holocaust,
one.
Is that the one where they're where like the lady has the stick stuck up through her? Yeah. Man, they had to go through all sorts of like legal shit to even get that movie.
They also
out.
actually killed animals in that
They
movie.
Yeah,
did.
tortoise,
They did.
the
There's
tortoise,
there's a tortoise. There is a monkey. There's a pig. And a muskrat that all actually die on camera. And I'm not saying that that's okay.
But if it's for my entertainment on 33mm.
No, not at all, right? I'm not saying the ends justify the means. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that the means are fun to watch.
Yeah. Of course, we have them here. Why not? Yeah.
Right. And it's actually like a really provocative and film that I think probably should have been made. Maybe not in the way it was made,
Yeah.
but it should have been, right? And because like I'm not gonna like walk around here and say that Ruggiero Deodato was a good guy, but
Well, the
he was a
underlying
good filmmaker.
the underlying criticism of American imperialism that exists within the film's central narrative is pretty fundamentally important.
And it's intense too, right?
Yeah, very much so. Especially because it's like retard undergrads from fucking
Yo, you can't say the R word on here.
what,
This is PG.
what retard?
Yeah. What the hell?
It's okay, I'm retarded.
Alright, I'm kidding.
All right, anyway, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, it's all these.
Alright, we'll bleep that out. It's fine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I liked that in that movie. The kids who are like just traipsing into this like indigenous people's homeland happen to be like NYU students in undergrad.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we're gonna like make.
No,
a
that's the
film."
Green Inferno.
No, wait a minute. What am I thinking of?
You're thinking of the Green Inferno, which
That
is
is
the remake.
That is a dumpster fire of a
The
movie.
Green-
I actually like the
I
Green
actually feel
Inferno.
like, I feel like a sausage right now.
The crew in Cannibal Holocaust were professional Mondo filmmakers.
Oh, okay.
So if you know anything about the Mondo film
I've seen
genre,
the Green Inferno as well as.
okay, so yeah, like if
Yeah.
you know about anything about the Mondo film genre, they staged a lot of their, a lot of the like atrocities that they would videotape,
Yeah.
and that was Deodato's critique of the Mondo film genre, which was getting really popular at the time.
What is Mondo film?
So the Mondo film genre started with this movie called Mondo Cane, right? It's like a compilation of like indigenous peoples doing things that Americans would see as kind of reprehensible, and then Americans doing the same thing, but it's just our mundane version of what that is, right? So there's like a lot of animal cruelty in that film,
Yeah.
a lot of people dying, but it's all real footage, right?
Yeah. And then how
Um,
does it transition in the whole like reflecting our modern civilization? How is that like?
It doesn't transmit super well, because really what it is it's not trying to be a provocative film. It's really just exploitation.
Yeah.
And
Exploitation films are. I mean, you know, they're good for entertainment, but at the end of the day, they're pretty counterproductive.
Absolutely,
for
right?
intelligence.
And so Deodato was going to critique that film genre while also engaging in a lot of animal cruelty and a lot of like really terrible practices with their actors. And so what ends up happening is that he just looks like a hypocrite at the end. And he doesn't make the Italian film scene look much better, because they already had a kind of a bad rap for creating a ton of exploitation films and like the spaghetti westerns.
They were pretty much pioneering it for the.
They
most
were,
part.
right?
Yeah.
And they did a lot of things that were ridiculously influential, and that's why I love it, right?
Yeah.
I love Italian exploitation films.
Like, what's
I
your
think-
you big like sexploitation guy? Or
I'm
you-
not.
No.
I'm not. That's
No, I
that's the
don't-
one genre that I'm like not super fond of, but
I
like
don't really like that shit either.
but you have films like Cannibal Holocaust,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
I gotta take the Doghouse.
Jungle Holocaust is really good too. There are also there's also one that I can't remember right now that was really really good. But yeah, and then the Japanese kind of took the mantle of extreme film
Yeah.
with the Guinea Pig series, where they started a genre of just pseudo snuff films.
Okay.
And I was infatuated really with why people enjoyed watching them, and so I started watching them for myself. Right? It was like
Okay.
trying to investigate as just to why people would watch something like this,
For sure.
and then
You gotta know.
slowly I just got into it, and I can't understand why.
Guinea
I
pig?
can't tell you
Why'd
why.
why'd you say guinea pig?
It's the film franchise that kind of started the
Oh, you got
Japanese
it. I'll be right
extremism,
Okay.
right? There's 5 films in
Hey,
it.
you gotta smoke, man.
No.
There is The Devil's Experiment,
Yeah.
Flowers of Flesh and Blood, He Cannot Die,
Okay.
Mermaid in a Manhole.
Hmm.
There's a science fiction movie that's like really terrible, and it's not even that gory, so I don't even know why it's in there, and I can't ever remember the name. And then Devilman Doctor, or Devil Woman Doctor.
Great names.
They're all a part of this Guinea Pig series, and
Yeah.
they're all known to be like really graphically violent movies.
That's
even though only the first 2 are like
What's the
really
genre? What's the genre
disgusting.
called again? I'm gonna write it down.
What?
What's the genre called again?
What do you mean? Just extreme horror,
Oh,
or
just
like
Japanese.
underground extreme horror, pseudo snuff.
Okay.
And then it hopped on in America.
Yeah.
You get movies like August Underground, and other ones start to pick up kind of
Yeah.
steam, like Martyrs, and Tumbling Doll of Flesh came over from Japan
Yeah.
into America, and people started
Okay.
kind of going off of that, and then it kind of spun out of control there for a couple of years. You get movies like the Vomit Gore trilogy, which are just porn at that point,
Okay.
with vomit and gore in it.
You turn Taylor onto any of this?
I've been trying to. He hasn't watched any of
Nah. You're not into horror.
No, I don't know. It just seems gratuitous. I mean, I
It is gratuitous.
and you know that's the
Yeah.
facet of this. It's just not not anything that would pique my interest.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've always had like a knack for extremism in anything I watch.
Yeah.
Right.
You-
I'm a very understimulated person,
Mm.
so it takes a lot to get a
Yeah, I was
reaction.
gonna ask you because you said you started watching this stuff at a young age. Do you feel like you were desensitized at a young age
Oh,
to
ridiculously.
like a lot of like the
Right,
gore and
and-
like sex and violence in these movies?
And I come from a relatively violent area, right?
Oh, really?
And so I'd already.
You already talked about that, Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah, Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah.
And I'd already seen a couple of pretty messed up things in my childhood that also kind of desensitized me to
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff. And so really what I can do now is separate myself from it and watch it as someone would watch a normal horror movie.
Yeah,
Um,
gotcha. Yeah,
And so really
I've
that's
always
what I
been
think it
super-
is that I'm just so desensitized that I can
Yeah.
watch it and it does the same thing for me as a normal horror movie.
Yeah. What kind of feeling do you get when you watch like a really good horror movie? Is it like a thrill or like an adrenaline rush?
You know,
or
typically-
do you watch horror for like the comedy aspect?
I watch horror for the visual effects and to see what they can do. And so typically
Okay.
when I watch like a really good horror movie, I'm impressed with what they've done.
Gotcha.
It's like the realer it gets for me, and the more I can be fooled by it,
Yeah.
the more impressed I am, and that's part of it. Sometimes I do get kind of like anxious when I watch horror movies, and that's
Yeah.
a really good feeling for me.
Oh,
But oftentimes I don't, right? Well, because I don't really get scared by much, right? And so when I do, it's a really impressive feeling that someone can create that kind of atmosphere in the medium of film.
Do you have that feeling where, like, some people watching movies, they have this thing where, like, when they're engaged in the movie, they feel like they're in the movie. But
No, I always
like,
feel
when you're watching a film, say, do you like you always consciously know that this is just a screen and this is all fake?
I have a real problem.
You think that's why shit doesn't scare you? 'Cause-
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah.
Like I have a big problem with immersion, especially in horror. Right? It's why, like, I played a lot of horror video games as a kid, and
Yeah.
they never really got me that much because they weren't super immersive. And it took a lot for me to get immersed in video games as well as
Yeah.
a kid, and I was always drawn to the more extreme RPGs
Yeah.
or more intense RPGs and older RPGs because they got me more invested
Yeah.
into the role-playing aspect than anything else could, right? And I've always just had a kind of out of it experience when I
Yeah.
watch these things. And so it's always really impressive when something can get me into it.
Oh, I feel you there.
Yeah. There have only been a couple movies that have done that to me though, right?
Yeah.
I think Martyrs was a really good example of something that kind of like really freaked me out the first time I watched it. I was
Okay.
like, oh my god. It's a French extremism film from the
Okay.
early 2000s that was really, really good.
Is there anything specific in movies that you're watching that will make you either really uncomfortable? Okay, like, is there something you'll see in a movie that makes you really uncomfortable that like makes you want to like turn it off? Like
Yeah.
one common theme you'll see in movies
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
bothers you more than anything else, like
Yeah,
you
and
personally.
it's really funny, and it's people taking off nails.
oh,
Taking off nails.
Yeah, like
I mean, yeah, that makes
prying
sense.
out nails.
like fingernails.
Oh, from their
Oh, fingernail.
oh fingernails.
that's
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
it
gotcha,
really
gotcha.
freaks me out more
That's
than
crazy.
anything else. I can
Yeah.
watch any sort of gore effect in a movie
Yeah, yeah.
and whatnot, but you give me one scene where someone gets a toenail taken off, or
Yeah.
a fingernail taken off, and I'm gone. I'm done.
You like subjectify that? You think of it like,
No, it just really grosses me out.
oh, okay, I gotcha.
Right?
You
Cringy.
don't start
Yeah.
thinking about like, oh,
No,
I don't want my
toes.
fingernail.
No, my toes just start hurting, and I was like,
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
wild.
and I'm done.
You ever seen Father's Day?
No.
The Lloyd Kaufman. You know Lloyd Kaufman?
No.
Is that his name?
Yes.
No, it's
Yeah.
Lloyd Kaufman, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta see Lloyd Kaufman. He's so fucking good. But
Okay.
they're like I want to say like snuff horror like comedy movies. He made stuff in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
But he made this movie Father's Day, and there was a scene where this dude was cutting his dick off.
Oof.
And I'd never seen anything like that in my life. But like
Okay, yeah,
that,
I've seen that in a
freaked
couple of movies.
that freaked me out so much. You literally like just took like a I don't know what they're called, but like a paring knife. Just like stabbed it right into his dick head.
There's
And it looked so real.
There've been a couple of movies that I've seen like that. Like
Yeah.
specifically, there's an American version of the Guinea Pig franchise
Yeah.
where they're like offshoots.
What's the Guinea Pig franchise?
It's a franchise of extreme horror from Japan. Franchise of extreme horror movies from Japan, right? And it was so popular in America that they decided they wanted to make American guinea pig movies. And one of them is called Sacrifice, and it has a genital mutilation scene that is very disturbing. I almost had to turn that one off because it looks so real.
Yeah, I don't really like any of the gross stuff.
Have there been any movies that you watched that made you cry?
When I was a kid, definitely.
Yeah, you too, Taylor. What movies have made you cry?
The Notebook.
The Notebook? Oh yeah.
Genuinely. Genuinely.
That's pretty
That's
funny.
So when I was a kid, all the dog movies made me cry. Like
Yeah.
Hachi and Marley.
Oh,
Marley
yeah,
and
yeah,
Me
yeah.
was
Oh,
awful.
God,
I-
yeah.
Oh, what's that
I
one with
couldn't watch
Frankie
it.
Muniz? My Dog Skip.
Yeah.
That shit was sad. That shit.
Paul Yeller, right?
You can't make a
Yeah.
good. You can't make a good
What
animal
is it with
movie
those
unless the animal
2000s
dies.
dog movies? There's so many there.
Airbud. Airbud.
That was like a
All
whole
dogs
fad.
go to heaven.
That was,
Airbud.
that was a whole fad in the 2000s.
Airbud.
It's one of the
Homeward-
best in the extreme.
Homeward Bound.
Oh, I love that. Movie.
That's a
They're
good movie.
Homeward Bound 2 was in
Classic.
Goodwill.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, the closest I usually get to crying is when like I'll get really invested into a TV show, and then it has a really happy ending that I'm like not satisfied with. It's like, I don't want this to end. Make something bad happen so we can keep going.
going.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right, and then I'll get upset at something.
That's
It's
so
like the
funny.
first time I ever watched the last episode of Futurama.
Yeah.
I was so upset.
It was a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know they're never gonna revive this.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect
Yeah, they've
that.
done it like several
I feel-
times. It might happen.
They've only done it once.
Was it one? Okay, yeah. I thought it felt like a lot several times.
And so, well, I saw the finale of Futurama. I was very upset.
Yeah.
And
Great episode though.
funnily enough,
This is,
like the finale of Gravity Falls made me really upset
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it was just a really good show.
That's one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah, right. And I really enjoyed that show. And so when I was finally done with it, and I was dreading finishing it.
Yeah.
That could still come back.
Yeah,
Is it-
maybe, but I
Maybe,
doubt it
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
They ended it at a really good spot, and they don't need to keep it going.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that is a good point.
Right, and so, what are you gonna do?
For sure.
And so that's the feeling that I don't like, is that I'm never gonna see something again. That gets me upset.
Hmm.
But other than that, I don't usually cry anymore at movies.
Gotcha,
You ever seen Nightbreed?
I've not.
Yeah. Might have to go check that out.
Okay.
Clive Barker. I haven't
Oh,
seen
Clive
it.
Barker.
I haven't seen it, but I was gonna watch it the other night. Didn't end up doing
Have you guys watched Videodrome?
it. No.
It's a David Cronenberg
I've heard
movie.
of it.
Oh, well, I already know where that's going.
Yeah, right. And it's got like.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Father's Day.
Body
Yes, we
horror.
do,
Yeah, it's like a technological or a biotechnological body horror movie, and it's so good. I'm not gonna spoil anything because I think it's probably one of my favorite movies I've ever watched.
I was just thinking, are you down to watch some Lloyd Kaufman right after this?
I've actually got to go and do a paper, but
Oh, you do, gotcha.
Oh yeah.
gotcha.
Well, what I was thinking is the camera's about to die. So
Okay.
whenever that does, I'm gonna give it a. It's on Amazon Prime. Father's Day. Well, I'm gonna let it charge after it's done. That should probably take like another 20 minutes on top of what we're already doing. But I
If you wanted to keep going.
figure we'll be out of here in like half an hour, 8 o'clock. That good with you?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What
I've got to pause to run to the bathroom real quick though.
Go do your thing, man.
You're good.
Oh,
We'll keep recording.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always-
Talk with Taylor a little bit. I've been talking too much.
We're always still
recording.
Yeah, Taylor, are you into film at all?
I've taken film classes, but I've never really done a deep dive. You know.
Gotcha.
What do you like to watch?
I mean, it depends.
Do you normally just throw on a movie like during
I like-
your week?
No, it depends. You know, sometimes I feel just kind of sentimental. I'm like, I want to watch a really cheesy rom-com.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It's you know, and sometimes I'm like, you know, I
What-
really want to watch a good movie.
Review.
What's your go-to rom-com?
Go to rom-com. Oh
You got
boy.
your girlfriend over. You
Oh,
wanna
I
have
can
a-
tell.
No, dude.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
50 First Dates.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, I love 50 First
classic.
Dates.
Is that the Adam Sandler joint?
Yeah, Adam Sandler's in that.
Adam Sandler joint.
Classic.
Shoot. I don't know, man. I've just seen so many. It's kind of like arbitrary at this point. I'm like, oh, that's a rom-com. I'll put that on.
I used to be really into those, man. I remember thinking, you ever seen Crazy Stupid Love?
Yeah.
That was like.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
I watched that when I was in probably like 8th grade, about to go into high school. I was like, wow, this is like it. Like, this is how I'm supposed to talk to girls, man.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling. Yeah, no, but rom-coms are funny for me because it's never my go-to, like ever. But
Yeah, I mean, it's rarely, I think, anyone's go-to.
my girl likes them a lot, though. So
Really?
I'm kind of I'm looking for some recommendations.
Lady Bird was really good.
Lady
No,
Bird.
not Lady Bird is not a rom-com.
Lady Bird, I like that.
I hated that movie.
I did.
I fucking
You
hated
didn't
it.
like that movie?
That shit sucked, dude.
The one about the
It had
girl
no
in
plot.
California?
It had no plot.
It's just
Yeah,
It's just
like
stream
just
of
girl
consciousness.
movie, man. Yeah.
It's waving its
sucks,
Oscar in
dude.
your face, Evan.
Yeah.
Like, it won an award. Like,
it's one of those.
This is not even my opinion. This is just objective fact. That movie's
It's one of those films
Whack.
where it's like, let's have some really like long shots with no dialogue and tension between the actors, and we'll win a Golden
I-
Globe or whatever.
I don't see the
It
appeal of
feels
it. Like there's
needless.
You
And you know,
you
I
like
don't know.
the Florida Project? You seen that?
I don't think so. No.
Oh man, that's just like about some wild street kids in Florida.
Really?
It's pretty fucked up. But I like Lady Bird, man. I watched that flick, and it was like thinking about like the main character. She's got that thing where she's like, oh, I really gotta like get out of my hometown and like go somewhere else. You know?
they're playing Bone Thugs at the high school dance.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. No, that's huh?
I didn't see the appeal of that movie. I feel like it's a cool movie if you're like a college age like white girl. But like other than that, like I don't see the appeal.
again, it's waving its Oscar in your face right
Yeah.
now. Like, it won a lot of awards.
That shit sucked.
It didn't beat out The Shape of Water though.
Did it have a
I
plot?
enjoyed that movie. I
That movie
remember
was
it
What the
good.
fuck is The
Interesting.
Shape of Water?
It's a
It's-
Guillermo del Toro movie.
Did that have a conflict or plot, Lady Bird? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
it's-
don't remember it having any
the
plot.
conflict was in between her and her mom.
Yeah, I think it was between,
Okay.
yeah, it was her and her mother.
But I like the dialogue in it. The whole time I was watching it, I was like, this could be like real people
Yeah.
talking right now. It seems like,
And there's a certain merit to having like ridiculously realistic dialogue, right? It's
Yeah.
the same draw that a character like Faulkner has in literature.
It does, but at some point, it's like, if you're gonna try and be this immersive and this realistic, this hyper-realistic, just make a documentary, right?
No, because you can't.
Because you can't
drive it
you can't
be
play it out.
specifically, designed to win an award, right? If you just do a
No, I
documentary.
don't think that's it at all. I think that you can't design it to pan out exactly the way that the person
I don't know.
perceives that the story needs to go.
you guys should fight right now, like fist fight on camera. That'd be fun. That'd probably go viral. It's like-
See, but we're both like,
you don't want Lady Bird, you fucker!
Oh, no, Lady Bird.
That'd be funny. I like So yeah, okay,
Yeah.
rom-coms. You know what I get a kick out of? I get a kick out of like blockbuster movies that had millions of dollars sunk into them that just flopped, like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like Leviathan.
Yeah.
That movie's so funny because you're watching it and they're like, dude, they really thought this was gonna be like Alien. Like they were like, oh yeah, we're never gonna work again.
Or like Event Horizon.
Oh, God.
just
Where the
That
movie-
still has some charm to it, Event
Oh,
Horizon.
it does.
Yeah.
It's basically like Space Hellraiser, and I love it. But the last like 25 minutes is terrible.
But that whole scene, man, that scene where he gets sucked down to the airlock and Wesley Snipes is just explaining to him, he's like, this is what's gonna happen. That was like, the whole time I was watching that, I was like, fuck that. Like, what a horrible fucking
Let me
thing.
make sure that is the one about the evil spaceship, right?
Yeah.
The sentient whatever.
Yeah.
spaceship. Yeah.
It's cursed.
Yeah.
You ever seen I think it's Pandorum, I think was the name of it? About
Yeah.
holy shit. I haven't seen that, man, but Space Madness.
God, the guy goes to the mental hospital, figures out there's like these snakes
12
in
monkeys?
the water
12 monkeys.
that
Not 12
Snakes
monkeys?
in the water.
there's like these little like worms in the water and they get inside of you and they like keep people alive.
Oh, that's wild.
Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Such a great director.
Nemo, top 3 directors, go.
Top 3 directors.
Michael Bay, the people at Blumhouse, and
What was that
everyone
guy?
involved in Tarzan.
What's that guy's name? James, what's his name?
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
that
he is
pedophile.
Dude, who the fuck did iCarly? Who directed iCarly?
Dan Schneider.
That motherfucker loves feet, dude.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was- I-
Dude,
Quentin
There's
Tarantino.
nothing wrong with
No,
that.
I
nothing
never
wrong
picked
with
up
feet.
on it as a kid, but there is. I feel like foot fetishes have been a thing for a while.
Y'all see
That
any
man-
Quentin Tarantino movie?
He used to like bring child actors into his like office and just like take their shoes off and shit.
It's so weird.
That's
And
so
he'd just
weird.
look at their feet.
Make them pour like ketchup on their feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. And
You
that
wanna
was
be
a-
on
that was a
Nickelodeon,
kid show,
do ya?
Yeah. Like, what was
And
up
there's-
with
I
that?
don't think he assaulted anyone. I think he was just a little.
He was
little
just weird,
he was just
right?
a little creepy with the feet.
And he
I'm
played
just,
it off as like juvenile comedy, like,
Oh,
oh,
just
feet,
having a good time.
oh, feet, but really he's just like,
No, the most
No.
disturbing thing I saw was someone was watching iCarly when I came over the other day, and there was this episode where her brother was like helping her out with the show, and there's a section where she like fucking bites his feet, and I was just like, Dan Schneider was all over that.
Yeah.
Dan Schneider
yeah.
told him to do
Schneider's a
that.
menace.
He got a like 14-year-old girl to bite this like 22-year-old dude's feet. That's
Jerry
weird.
Trainer.
I know like
Yeah.
I know like at least 5 celebrities with foot fetishes.
You know what?
Quentin
Miranda
Tarantino.
I
Cosgrove.
can name them.
Miranda Cosgrove probably lives in a nicer house than me, man.
That
She does.
Yeah, but then you gotta
I'd
go-
bite some fucking feet, man. I'll tell you what. I'll fucking.
But you also gotta look at like what's her name, the co-star.
The Sam.
Jeanette McCurdy.
Jeanette
Jeanette McCurdy is
Jeanette,
like,
yeah.
fucked up.
yeah, like she's stopped doing any movies now. She said she's never gonna act again because of all of her terrible experiences on iCarly. She said she wished she'd never gotten into acting because of it. It was like
Really?
that's
Dude,
awful.
Dude, there's so
Yeah,
many,
that she
there's
said
so
that.
many child actors that come
Right.
forward and they're like that one guy who was on like The View and he was like, parents, if you're thinking about letting your child be in movies, please do not, because the whole movie industry is just filled with like pedophiles and creeps. And he even said, he's like, I was assaulted as a child and like on The
Dude,
View.
they're like in with the Illuminati too, so you can't like
can't say anything.
can't say anything about it.
Illuminati.
No,
No, I'm
stop.
dead. No, I'm
No,
dead.
and Barbara Walters,
No.
man, she looks at this guy who's
Okay, not the
talking
Illuminati,
about-
but the ruling class. Like basically, like if a child actor gets raped, they can't say anything because
Oh yeah.
basically
because there's
they'll
a power
get
dynamic.
shot.
He'll get killed.
No, they'll
There's
get
a-
killed.
there's a-
Because
They kill
Corey
him out
Feldman
here.
said. You know Corey Feldman?
Yeah,
he's
he's
made
from-
some
he's
great
from the-
music.
He's from the
dude.
Goonies. He's from the Goonies, but
Stand
he,
by me.
they redid. Prince Philip, I'm convinced he's a lich.
Yeah, yeah.
Sacrificed his soul to the devil to save the world.
That would be quite the funny turn of events, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back at the Doghouse, and I'm joined once again by
John Nemo!
and
Taylor Ward.
and we're here talking about music, hanging out, having a good time. So let's get it going, man. Nemo, you want to tell the people about your upcoming projects?
Yeah. So we have an EP coming out. Should be about 6 songs, tentatively titled either Wormwood or Penance. We haven't really decided yet. Or it could be neither of those things. Really just watch for a band to randomly appear on Spotify called Watch for Pedestrians. And and we'll be releasing music through there, unless someone's already taken that name, which wouldn't be a first for us.
It'd be quite funny though. What's
Yeah.
Pedestrians?
And so yeah, we already have a track that we've done called "I'm Alive," which should be releasing here soon. I don't know exactly when, but we'll put the single out here a little bit before the album's ready. Probably once we have 3 or 4 songs done, so we can build up some anticipation for the project. And yeah, I'm really excited to get it out and to finally have something out on Spotify that people can listen to.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Taylor, you got a message for the people?
I mean, I think John pretty much summarized anything I could say. If you do happen to see us on Spotify, give us a listen. That would be much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
We don't care about the 3 cents we'll gain from
Yeah.
Spotify ever.
You're not making music for money?
No.
What the fuck are we here for then?
We're here because I want to get the music out to the people, man.
Spread the good word.
Well, here
And,
comes.
hopefully,
everybody's- Oh yeah.
hopefully once we do it, we'll have a Bandcamp profile that we can sell some cassettes on from
Mhm.
Doghouse Records.
Yeah.
And
Everybody's favorite part of the show. Find an empty place on the back wall and make your mark. You gonna play, man? Play something. Come on. Let's hear it. Got lots of room. Let's make sure we get this on camera.
What did David do?
He did Air Raiders.
Oh, what's that? The black one?
Nick did that.
What is that?
What?
What's
The
that?
black one that Nick did. What is it?
I don't know, it's just crazy. You know, I think it says his name, it says Aurelius, it's got some 9s in it somewhere, you know. Hell yeah. A real watch for pedestrians. Taylor, you want to put one up?
No, I'm alright.
You sure, man? You can. We got lots of space. Alright, well, this has been another successful episode of Barkin at the Doghouse. My name is Austin Carlson, coming at you, the people. And I'm joined again one more time by
John Nemo!
John Nemo, I'm my main man.
Taylor Ward.
Taylor Ward, and we're out here talking about music. It's been real cool. Any final thoughts?
Stream our EP when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it! We are in here first, folks, at the Doghouse.